Hello everyone, this is Mohammed Asmal, founding engineer of IMESH, and in this session, we'll be having a look at Canary release in Istio Ambient Mesh. Now, we have seen Canary releases in the sidecar-based Istio Mesh, and we'll see how it is implemented here in Istio Ambient Mesh. So let's have a look at the applications that we'll be deploying. For this demo, we'll be using a relatively smaller application. We'll be having one namespace which has the sleep pod and another namespace which has the echo server, and in echo server we'll have two versions, namely version 1 and version 2. Similar to the previous version, I have put all the commands and queries that we'll be running into a readme file. So I expect you would have installed Istio and installed the Kubernetes gateway APIs that we have done in the previous service. So I already have all those things, so let's see. So we are having this eternal Istio CNI and everything up and running. Let's have a look at the application YAML at first. So in resources, we have a namespace, and I'm already labeling the namespace as Istio.io data plain mode ambient while injecting, while applying this file itself. We are having one service account for the sleep service and one service and a deployment. Same thing for resource in NS2. We have the namespace declaration, we have the service account, we have the service, and we have two deployments which are marked with version V1 for deployment in V1 and version V2 in deployment V2. And they will be having different names once you have deployed and you're querying it, you will see. So let's apply these files. So we'll do kubectl apply resources ns1. Oops. And same thing with resources ns2. So everything is up and running in namespace 1. We have the deployment for ns1 in sleep, and for namespace 2 we have two deployments, one version 1 and another version 2. Let's see if we are able to communicate with from sleep to any of these services. And note that the echo server service is only one service. We are not having multiple services, but we are having multiple versions of a deployment. So let's just copy this command. I'm executing into the sleep deployment, and I'm just doing a curl command into those echo service ns2, and this is the basically the full qualified domain name of that. And you can see we are getting the result, and it is coming from host deployment ns2 v1. And if I do it again for a couple of times, we'll see v2 popping up here. So yeah, it's working. But we do not have the Canary deployment right now. So what we'll be doing is, since we already know that inside the host name we are having something related to version 1 and something related to version 2, we'll make 100 requests, and we'll just count the number of times the occurrence of version 1 on version 2. To do that, we have a command here. Notice I haven't applied anything related to the Canary deployment yet. And if you simply run this command, and if you wait for some time, we can see that the overall ratio is around 50-50. Now I'm doing the same thing for V2. It's approximately 50% we have seen in V1, and it's approximately 50% for V2 as well. Now, since in Istio Sidecar, the way we used to do Canary is by first creating a destination rule. And the way we create a destination rule is by using the destination rule CRD. In this case, you give it a name, and I'm giving it a namespace as well. And you give the host name. Since I'm deploying it into the same namespace, I'm not going to give the full qualified domain name in the host. All I'm giving is just the host name of the service, that is echo service ns2. And I'm creating two subset, one which is named v1, which will select the deployments from this particular app label and this particular version, which is v1. Same thing goes with the v2 name. We are selecting the labels for echo server app ns2 and the version being v2. And inside the virtual service, which is being created for the host of, it's again also created in ns2, and giving it just a name like echo server vs. And here what I'm doing is I'm applying that echo server ns2, and I'm giving the full qualified domain name here. You might choose to do otherwise, but yeah. And inside the http route, we have two destination, one which matches for the host, this particular host, In this case, the host is going to be the same. The only difference is going to be the subset. In this case, we have subset v1, and in the other one, we have subset v2. And what we are saying is, okay, give 90% of the traffic to v1 and the 10% of traffic to subset v2. And subsequently, these subset will result in forwarding the request to the appropriate deployed version. For subset v2, it is version 2, and for subset v1, it is version 1. So this is exactly same what you would do in the Istio sidecar as well. But as soon as I apply this file, I keep spelling it incorrectly. My bad. As soon as I apply this file, we have the virtual services. We can check that. Right, we have the virtual service, and we also have the destination rule in NS2, which is referring to the proper host that we have. But still, if you go ahead and you run the request for 100 times that we had seen, it's not going to work. You can see in a moment, it's still relatively 50-50. The reason being, in the traditional Istio sidecar, we already have the Envoy proxies that where the virtual service and destination rules are being interpreted and it's being applied. So in case of the traditional ambient mesh, it's not there as of now because we know that it only created the Z tunnel, and we do not have an Envoy proxy. We do have waypoint proxies, which acts as Envoy proxy, and we use it whenever we require the L7 related stuff. And since virtual service and destination rule are to be interpreted by that, we require a waypoint proxy to be present for it to work. And it is simple. You can use the Istio CTLX, which is just a short form for experimental, and waypoint. So I'll just generate a waypoint proxy for an NS2. You can also give the service account name. I'm just generating this and showing you how this would look. So it is created by the traditional like Kubernetes gateway API. You have the kind gateway, you have the namespace and metadata, and in the gateway class name, you have it as Istio waypoint, and it is just adding a listener to the HBOON. That is port 15008, as we have seen. You could directly apply it from here by simply saying Istio waypoint proxy waypoint apply. But what I have done, I have created a file out of it, and in this file I'm showing, in this demo we'll be also showing you the way like installing the waypoint proxy with the service account. But however, the same would work for the namespace as well. It's just a few more granular control that I'll be showing. So this has the annotation of for service account, echo server, and S2. You can pass the service account in this command as well if you see the help text. So let's apply the waypoint proxy and see. kubectl apply -f waypoint proxy. And since it is just a normal Kubernetes gateway, we can see get the gateway in NS2. Oops. You can see we have the echo service account NS2 gateway. Its class is Istio waypoint. We have the appropriate address. And since waypoint proxies are just like a regular pods, and inside the namespace too, you can see we have one more pod, which is the waypoint proxy. Fine. Now let's try the example again. And this time I'm querying v2 for 100 request. And you can see that in this case, it's only 12 request is going to v2, which is close to 10%. And if we do to v1, because we are mentioning in the Canary that 10% should go to v2 and 90% should go to v1, and it's around 85. Obviously it's not going to be exactly the same, it's going to be an approximate percentage. So yeah, so you can see this is how you would do a Canary release in Istio Ambient Mesh. The only difference is that you need a appropriate waypoint proxy. You can even have the waypoint proxy in just the namespace. If you, I'll simply apply this again. It's going to update and configure it, and it would still work. So this is the key to applying any related to Canary and stuff like that. You need the waypoint proxy to be present. So that's all for this session. Thank you for joining. Have a good day.